Just get paid. I want to play. The vibes is right. I wanna hug up tight. No time to waste. I wanna work my ways. So come on now, babes. Give me a taste. I wanna rub my body on your body. I wanna rub my body on your body. Let me rub my body on your body. I wanna rub my body on your body. I wanna rub and love up. I wanna rub and kiss up. I wanna rub and jam up. I wanna rub and rub up. I wanna rub my body on your body. I wanna rub my body on your body. Let me rub my body on your body. I wanna rub my body on your body. Well, you know, I'm feeling.
That little ditty we used to torment our teachers with when we were kids goes something like this. Onward, upward, Mary had a go. Day by day she tied it to a rope, till at length they got busty rope, and Miss Mary had to run behind it. We had a lot of fun with that, but do you actually know how beautiful these words are? Here's the Song of Guyana's Children by W. Hawley Bryant. Born in the land of the mighty Roraima, land of great rivers and far-stretching sea, so like the mountains, the sea, and the river, great, wide, and deep in our lives would we be. Onward, upward, may we ever go, day by day in strength and beauty grow.
If you are looking to have your statutory declaration, affidavit of income, identity, damage or lost passport, lost license, tenancy agreement, agreement of settlement, power of attorney, last will and testament, and certification of documents, then you need to visit the Alistair Collins firm, located at the Killian Mall, 162 Lamaha Street in Georgetown, between Camp and Waterloo Street. Alistair Collins is a commissioner of oaths and a justice of the peace. Make certain you visit him or call for more information at 649-6410 or 685-6448 or 503-1451. And there's adequate parking available. Go down to the Alistair Collins firm and have all of your legal issues settled and brought to the fore. Alistair Collins firm. Contact them at Alistair Collins firm.
Hey, guess what? Good evening. My name is Mark Benschop. It's just 6 minutes after 9 o'clock. Beautiful, beautiful day. Beautiful, beautiful things happening. Not just jingles, not just all sorts of things. I don't know. People get ticklish these days. Very ticklish. And I don't know. We have a bunch of things I want to address this evening. But before we get to our guest, let me just welcome all of you from around the world, especially out there in Guyana, the beautiful people of Linden, Ituni, Kokwani, Old England. And let's go all the way under quarantine. Alnis, Philippi, Bloomfield, where is it? Port Morant, Letty all those villages on the west coast of Berbice, can't forget number 23. What is it? Litchfield, Belladrum. All over there on the West Coast, too. I don't want people to say I'm forgetting them in Bartica, in Madhya. I love Madhya. I went to Madhya maybe once or twice. I can't remember, but I know the first time I went there. It was beautiful. Lots and lots of memories indeed. Thank you much for sharing the link. We're going to get ready to rock and roll. But before we do, let's say good evening to all the folks at Freedom House, because we know they're tuned in. They want to hear what is happening, especially the Minister of Health, as we oftentimes would say, the installed Minister of Health. We have our donkey, and this evening let's go to him, the Minister of Health, Dr. Frank Anthony. To begin with, right off the top, let's give him the donkey. He deserves this. The donkey, not for any laughing matter, because serious issues in the country. People are dying left, right, and center, as we say. People are dying like flies every single day. These folks have no plans. They have no idea. They don't know what they're doing. But we're going to get to all of that with our guest. I have some questions to them as well. Veteran trade unionist Lincoln Brandon Lewis is with us this evening, former chairman of Region Number 10. Sharma Get It Done Solomon is with us this evening, and we have Miss Vanessa, political bad woman. Oops, sorry, I didn't say that. I don't want Priya Manikchan and all of them to say, and the Minister of Human Services, Ms. Prasad, to say that I am disrespecting women. So I withdraw that. Vanessa, political bad woman, Kissoon. They are my guests this evening. But before I go to them, Frank Anthony, he deserves this, and I'll explain why. He deserves our Donkey Award for the night. All right, Frank Anthony, look, these guys just do not have their act together. Lots of problems at the COVID-19 hospital, lots of problems with the COVID-19 pandemic throughout the country. And as I have said earlier, people are dying like flies. And these folks have I repeat, absolutely no idea as to what the heck they are doing. In fact, they don't know if someone is dead or someone is alive. This guy, Maxwell Tom, he's the owner of 93.1 FM. Let me first take the time out to say condolences to his family, his children, everyone, including his colleagues and his staff members as well. at 93.1 FM and his business, Wireless Connection. So here's what's happening. 1 minute we hear he's dead. Then next we hear he's not dead. Then Frank Anthony says he's not dead. Then minutes after Frank Anthony said that he is not dead, he died. And then there's a report in newssource.gy, that's Gordon Mosley news agency, says that he died. And then minutes after, Gordon Mosley did a retraction, said that he hasn't died. He is still alive. Mind you, this guy, Maxwell Tom, someone that I've known over the years, in my little interaction with him, I have nothing negative to say about the businessman, right? Now, I don't know, for almost 2 hours, he's dead, he's not dead. He's dead, he's not dead. Even Frank Anthony got involved in this matter. And now let me say what has happened. At the COVID-19 hospital, somebody has messed up. Somebody has been, or either the minister himself messed up, because this guy could have probably been dead when they were trying to basically hide something. That's just my opinion. Because later on in the day, sometime this evening, we heard that, because Frank Anthony and them, they love to jump out and say that X amount of persons who are unvaccinated have died. But this guy was actually vaccinated. Now we're hearing that he was partially vaccinated. Could it be that he took the Sputnik V and he was waiting for the second dose that Frank Anthony and the PPP regime cannot deliver to the people of Guyana? I don't know. I'm just assuming. I don't know whether it's the Sputnik V he took and he was waiting for the second dose. Now I'm hearing this evening that Frank Anthony is admitting that 80,000+ persons have been affected. They are awaiting the second dose of the Sputnik V. This is almost, I repeat, almost 3 months now, or a little over 3 months, and nothing has happened. So, Frank Anthony, if you're watching, and Irfan Ali and others, if you guys are watching, look at Tom, look at Maxwell Tom. You guys have a lot to answer for. Not just Maxwell Tom, but lots of other persons who have died, but who didn't deserve to die. Maybe just not yet. Right? Good. So they're playing games. Condolences to Maxwell Tom's family. And like I've said, all of his staff, his workers at the Wireless Connection, and also 93.1 FM. I spoke with Maxwell couple maybe about a month or 2 months ago. He was in good health. He was happy. We spoke about a subject. And I don't know. This is indeed a sad moment. And for all the others who have passed away as a result of the COVID-19, my condolences to their loved ones as well. But before we get to our guests, we are waiting Miss Vanessa Kissoon. Miss Vanessa Kissoon, we are awaiting. Let me show you guys something. There we go. Quickly. Let's touch. Oops. Gosh. They have this guy on Sherrod Duncan. Now, Sherrod Duncan has better looking photos than that. Sometimes he makes himself looks better than that. Look at the photograph they used, because they want to say something about Sherrod Duncan, and they have him looking really, really mean. Now, Sherrod, if you're watching, and I know you do, this is a horrible looking picture they've used of you, right? But away from that, look at those beautiful photographs they used of themselves. Look at them. Oh my gosh. But look at the ones they use with Sherrod. But getting to the point, here's what they're saying. And this is from the mouthpiece, the PPP's mouthpiece. Sherrod Duncan's lawless onslaught against Manik Chan. Repugnant Human Services Minister. And that's the person in the middle. They suddenly have a voice. Now, there's a reason why I want to talk about this. Now, whatever Duncan does in his show, that's his prerogative. I may not do that. I may not play the jingle because I just wouldn't do that. I wouldn't play the jingle maybe around Christmas time, because that's when you have nice pepper pot and all these different things, pork chop and whatever chop. I'm not into pork chop and so forth, but I wouldn't play the jingle. I've heard the jingle and I kind of smile. But it tickles them And when it tickles them, they jump up on their high horses or their stage, and that's when they realize and they remember that women, oh my gosh, women are being violated, and we've got to do something about that. We've got to put Sharon Duncan and others to shame. Oh my gosh, how dare they do that? It's an onslaught against the onslaught against Manik Chan. But look, when Manik Chan talks a bunch of garbage, a bunch of trash about every single day she opens her mouth is exactly what we got. But look, when she was in Parliament and nobody did anything to her, and there were a bunch of policemen. And we know the ethnicity of those policemen who were attempting to calm them down and tell them that they can't do what they're doing. She yelled out, rape, rape. Wasn't that against the women who have been raped? Wasn't that an insult against the women? Nothing has happened to her. Nobody touched her, but yet she yelled out, rape, rape. But we didn't hear anything from the Minister of Human Services. It wasn't their concern. They didn't give a damn about these sort. Well, but then again, at that time, they were in the opposition. But people condemned, but not the WPO, that is the working or the Women's People's whatever progressive organization for the WPA. They do not denounce these things at all, right? And many of you guys remember this here, right? Let me give you guys a quick peek of that. This here is Barrett Jagdeo holding on to someone who was supposed to be married to him. Married. And so the nation thought that it was a legitimate marriage. Look at it. They got married on July 26, 1998. Allegedly got married. And so we thought during that time that she was the first lady of Guyana. In fact, a lot of people were surprised that he actually held on to okay, you get my point, but they hugged. And so people ran away with this idea that Vashni Singh was actually the first lady of Guyana, until Vashni Singh was the one who opened her mouth and she spilled, of course, the beans, right? Well, good. This is what happened. This is what she says. Marriage to Jagdeo never registered. If a marriage was never registered, it simply means that that marriage was never legal in the first place. And I am not the one who's saying it. This was in Stabrook News, January 25th, 2009, where then, I don't know, they still call her First Lady, Vashni Singh yesterday said her 9-year marriage to Barrett Jagdeo was never registered. So if you never register something, how the heck can it be legal? Now, those are not my words. It is Vashni Singh who said that about that so-called marriage. And look at it again. All of these things, well, we weren't just to get to that as yet. But if Priya Manikchan is talking about abuse and all these things, and the Minister of Human Services, they all were quiet during these times. And look, in 2007, this is what Vashni Singh said. Not propaganda. This is what she said to the media. In fact, she issued a long letter, press release. This is what she said. Guyana's First Lady appeals to nation to lend her a car. Please, y'all lend me a car. I need a car. I am begging for a car. Look, her nearly 9-year marriage to Jagdeo ended with their separation in April. Okay, it ended, but she was out begging for a car. During this time, this is something. Now let us have our operator Lemon take that off the air, the screen for now. Let me calm down, a little bit hype. I just had a Red Bull, right? I'm getting to my guest shortly. We're waiting, Ms. Vanessa Kissoon. But now let me say this. Priya Manikchan and the Minister of Human Services, Ms. Prasad, suddenly have a voice. And they're pretending now as though they're concerned about women and women's rights and women's issues. But during Vashni Singh's problem, which she revealed, she called it high-tech domestic violence. And during that time, of course, Jagdeo denied everything. Jagdeo said he has never touched a woman in his entire life. Never touched a woman. Well, we believe him on that note, that he has never touched her. That is what he said. He has never touched a woman. Jack Dave said that. But let us get back to what Priya Manik-Chan, what Vashni said. Vashni, and I quote here, she says, "It is funny and sad to hear the politicians talk about the campaign against domestic violence, investing millions to stamp it out, etc., when what I am experiencing, is high-tech domestic violence and persecution. Our president," she's referring to Bharat Jagdeo, "is using his office and state resources, including ministers, unprofessionally to disadvantage a woman." You know who said that? Vashni Singh said that. And you know who was quiet? Priya Manik-Chan was quiet. You know who was also quiet? And I believe she's the head of the Arya Samaj or something like that. Do forgive me. Miss Prasad, who happens to be the Minister of Human Services. Every single one of them were quiet as a mouse. And this is what she says: "I've been begging our president," that is Jagdish she was talking about, "for financial assistance so I can live." He was the president. He's making a heck of a lot of money. It's not like me, probably little crumbs here and there. But he's the president of a country making millions upon millions upon millions of dollars. And this is what she said: "I have to depend on my parents who are pensioners and my family to support me. It is shameful at this stage of my life to regress to having my parents support me. It is funny and sad to hear the politicians talk about the campaign against domestic violence, investing millions to stamp it out." Well, you know what she was doing there? She was throwing hints at people like Priya Manik-Chan and so forth and so on. Lots of things happening. Hey, good evening to all of you. Speaking of Priya Manik-Chan, I don't know, shameless set of people to want to talk about something that Duncan did on his show about some wild hog. Again, I'm not going to get involved with that because, that is just not how we do this show here at all. We do not play jingles. But I heard the jingle and I kind of smiled. Do I agree with the jingle? Do I think that women should be depicted like that? Priya Manik-Chan. Remember, you guys have done worse to women. Worse. And you guys don't give a damn about the women. You guys don't give a damn about domestic violence or whatever it is. And during your tenure as Minister of Human Services, Priya Manik-Chan, trafficking of person, young girls, trafficking of those young girls for prostitution was high as hell. Go to that year's State Department's report. You will see exactly what I am talking about. So let's move on. Enough of Priya Manik-Chan for now. But look, I don't know. If Priya is watching, Windsor Forest, right? Or Windsor Forest Estate, that's a big house going up there. It's a huge house. Now, I don't know, and I'm not going to give my mouth liberty, but maybe Priya Manik-Chan, she's entitled, anybody's entitled to a house. And our investigators have been doing their stuff. But this house, I am told, mind you, it is set to be the house that Priya Manik-Chan is building in an affluent neighborhood. And this house probably cost over $1 million US. It's not furnished as yet, but I'm telling you guys this. Now, if in fact, and this was said like a couple of days, I forgot to mention it to you guys. Now, if in fact that this is Priya's house with her salary as just got back into office, I don't know if this is Priya's house, but Priya has to tell us whether this is her house or not. But I'm told that this is Priya's new house in Windsor Forest Estate, a place where houses are being sold for $2-3 million, probably more. Gosh, I'll tell you what, I'm not seeing Ms. Vanessa Kissoon at this time, but I have my other two guests. I have former chairman of Region 10, Sharma, Get It Done, Solomon. I have also the General Secretary of the Guyana Trades Union Congress, Lincoln, Brandon, Mickencook, Lewis. Good evening to you, gentlemen.
Good evening, Mark. Thanks for having me on this evening. How are you
Hey,
doing?
thanks for having you. Thanks for you being on as well. Good evening to you,
Good
Mr.
evening to
Lewis.
your audience too.
Thank you. We are not getting much of a volume from you, but if we can get some more volume from you guys.
Good night.
Good night.
Good evening. Good
Good
evening.
night. We're ready to rock
Good
and
evening.
roll.
Good evening, comrade. Good night, comrade Benschop and the audience.
Good night to you, Lincoln. We have a lot of people. I see here a comment from Lemon. Lemon is saying, so good to
Sharma,
see
how you doing?
Lincoln Lewis tonight again.
Good evening, Brother Lincoln. How are you doing, sir?
Don't tell me we're going to start off with problems coming from Lincoln's internet. Please don't tell me that. Not tonight. Let's begin. Let's start with we're having some slight problems with Lincoln's internet. I bet Lemon is probably happy about that. But let's start with the former regional chairman of Region Number 10, Mr. Sharma Solomon. Mr. Solomon, there was a lockdown, on Monday. The place was like a ghost town and all these different things. What was the purpose of that lockdown in the region? And we haven't seen much today. But what's happening, sir?
Hi, thanks for having me on, Mark, and good evening again to your audience. Let me take this opportunity to express to the general public, I still would always take this time to acknowledge that we're in a pandemic. People continue to lose their lives. So I want to express my thoughts and prayers to those who have suffered and those who continue to suffer. And that I pray that we as a collective, as a nation, could work to bring this matter under control. So that is in essence what you see as a response to even that acknowledgement of our general condition as a nation that you see from Linden and Region 10 as a response of whether you have indigenous leaders which represent individuals themselves. We see those emerging of people recognizing whether they are in favor of how the government is handling the general issue of this pandemic, and in particular with the issue of the vaccine rollout and how people's views are with regards to that. Lyndon, at the beginning of this pandemic, I'd repeat, with businessmen and like-minded leaders, had taken the initiative initially before the rest of Guyana to take Linden in a direction where we are protected, where we can look out for the eventuality of what became a global pandemic beyond our recognition of how to deal with it. So last year, Linden and the leadership locked the town to the point where we had the type of screening effectiveness of people entering the town. The issue of ensuring businesses were provided for, people in their homes were provided for in terms of hampers. So it wasn't just a lockdown of people not recognizing how this will impact them. So as we fast forward into what we have at this moment, from last year, where we took the spread of a pandemic to that level of seriousness, so now where you're having over 5-6 persons that are dying daily, the numbers of infection going up in terms of hundreds daily. Those indigenous leaders that I spoke of earlier, whether they're individuals, are expressing themselves in a manner to object to the general handling of how the government is dealing with this pandemic. And in particular, with these new mandates and policies that are now saying to people in relation to the vaccination, how they are to be treated. And I
Let
think
me just
people
interject
in
quickly, Mr. Sharma. People are saying that your volume is extremely low. We'd appreciate if you turn it up and let's, allow them to hear what's happening. Thank you, sir.
Yes, I don't know if you can hear me better, Mark.
Let me just say that we really I understand. I see some of the comments saying it's a lockdown, it's a shutdown, not a lockdown. All right, you guys understand that. We're not actually in a classroom, but if it's a shutdown, a lockdown, the tongue lockdown, you lock it down, you shut it down. Lock the door, shut the door. No, lock the door, shut the door. That is for you.
Mark, you see, the thing is, whether we play semantics of words, I think the precaution in the action is what you need to acknowledge, where people are taking action because they're seeing an inaction from the government.
Sure.
So whether it's a lockdown or shutdown, whether people choose to protest, demonstrate, they choose to take different forms to object to the general handling of how these matters are being done. My point is, Linden is demonstrating and would have demonstrated from the initial stage of this pandemic that they're prepared to take a proactive approach to ensuring that people are taken care of, livelihoods are protected, and people are given the sort of representation. So what you see right now in Linden, whether you had yesterday the town on a position where people took certain action, or even today, where you saw teachers in the street demonstrating because of the vaccination and the way the schools have been reopened. Linden have taken that proactive position, and it is not a particular leader. That's the point I'm making. It would be the reaction of the people and in themselves finding the sort of leadership to take the action to demonstrate against these positions that are being unfolded by the government, more so in the handling of this pandemic.
All right, thank you so much. Mr. Sharma Solomon here with us, former chairman of Region Number 10. We have Mr. Lincoln Lewis, who seems to be having some sort of problem with his internet access there where he lives. And so I ask for your forgiveness. And again, lockdown, shut down, lock the door, shut the door, eat, nyam, same thing. Come eat, come nyam, come give me eat. I don't know, same thing. Let's move on. What's the pandemic like in Linden? Are people adhering to these sort of, measures, safety measures, their masks, social distancing, and so forth? Are those things happening in your part of the woods, sir?
Yes, Mark. I don't want to exclude Linden and Region 10 from being generally affected by what is happening with how the pandemic is being managed. Of course, cases are on the increase, as in every part of Guyana. Fortunately, as you look at the dashboard representing the cases of COVID-19 with regards to those who were infected and those who have died. Over the past week or so, we have not seen anyone. In fact, I recognize one death from Region 10. So I know Region 10, again, going right back to the beginning of managing this pandemic. And this is why you see individuals making the call that by now, a shutdown, a lockdown, whatever you want to deem it as, the government should be taking a different approach as we see in other parts of the world, because the situation would have far progressed beyond what it was before. So, of course, Linden would be taking the sort of precaution because we see that reflected in the numbers. And again, the politics becomes dangerous, as we saw a few weeks ago when Lindeners were taking certain protest action, that we saw the government using the case numbers to demonstrate that it was these actions that were actually promoting the cases to go up. And when you look at the figures, especially in the month of August, and I repeated this on a program a few nights ago, you had the Because We Care on the 12th of August. You had the school cash, the housing distribution of over 400 people on the 17th of August. And in August, the numbers of cases were 200 plus, almost 280. While in September, in the same month that you are, in fact, we're talking July, sorry, you had those numbers of 280. While in August, you had the demonstrations and protests, and the numbers were just about 68. So that is the point I'm making. Linden, of course, the persons who are leading these demonstrations and protests are recognizing that you can keep the numbers down by implying social distancing, wearing a mask, and doing the necessary things that will ensure that you are protected. And this is the sort of responsibleness that I want people to understand, that people are taking action in Linden. And it is not a wild fling to ensure that we have more cases unfolding. Unlike what the evidence proved in July, while the numbers were going up because of activities by the government, you saw no such increase in activities in August with the numbers.
All right, good. Let's welcome back Mr. Lincoln Lewis. Lincoln, quickly, because we know that your internet is in and out, in and out. It's very shaky, just like this install government, very shaky. What is your take on this growing problem? We see it every day. Scores of persons are dying, the COVID-19 pandemic, and how the install regime is handling this matter.
Marcus,
Yes, go ahead, Lincoln. We're hearing you.
this problem, the pandemic, is outside of the depth of this government. These are people who are prepared to go it alone, even if the entire nation dies. They don't care. They believe that they have all the answers to everything. And I believe the only reason why they behave in such a way is because they believe that even COVID, they will make money. Even the death, they will make money and they can steal it. You know, the faster the society comes to realize the problems that confront us, the better we will be. Because some section of the society, I heard them, some are critical of even the trade union to say that we are taking anti-COVID, anti-vaccination position. And secondly, we should emulate, this country should emulate what the US is doing. I don't believe that they're reading. I believe they just catch on to some terms or something they hear and they latch onto it and they run with it. They mouth it all the time. Let me just clear the air for something. And the trade union in this country, the trade advocating against what this government is doing. We are guided by something. They are not guided by what President Biden has said to the nation on the United States, the nation on the COVID-19. You know what he said? What you glean from it is that the man dating for certain cuts is accompanied by the mandating of testing. But that's what is being said here. It also said COVID-19 testing is free. And it also said that all vaccines used in the United States are approved by the World Health Organization. You can't bring things here that are not approved by the World Health. They are foolproof, and just giving them to people in society. We need to challenge something. We need to be guided by some rules. principles and standards. Engaging stakeholders, scientific institutions are allowed to do their work independently, and transparency and accountability in the system. If they want to do it, they want to force you to do something. The politicians now become the authority, whether it's good or bad. The employers are being mandated to give workers pay to or recover from inside effects of getting vaccination. And should they fail to comply, they are faced with fines up to $14,000 for violation. These are things that are in there, but many people are reading it. We are driven by the by the political vomit. Those are things that are serious concerns to us. I saw somebody over the weekend writing some letter to say that how the trade union, the GTUC and the GTU and the PSU, we should be ashamed how we do it. He's another, some doctor or something. I don't even know who. I don't know the person. But something wrong with these guys. What are we going to court for? We have a right to go to court if we feel that our fundamental rights and freedoms of the society, workers and society, have been infringed. What we are asking for, we are saying that the GTUC is saying that we want COVID-19 preventative measures such as hand washing, social distancing, small crowds, and naked and masking to be observed. The rules must be enforced across the board, not selectively as is happening. Not selectively as it's happening. It must be across the board. We are saying also that we are not against people taking the World Health Organization approved vaccines and are encouraging those who can and want to take the vaccine to do so. GPUC is against the use of Sputnik V vaccine, which has not been approved for use by the World Health Organization. Guyana does not have the capacity and effectiveness of a vaccine and relies on the World Health Organization guidance. That's our position. We also against mandating vaccines and workers having to pay for testing based on what? We, the GTUC, the GPSU, the GTU, as violating workers' rights. We have taken the matter now before the court for adjudication, and we are awaiting the decision. Let me tell you what. Where else we should go if there is a dispute? Why you make the court? You make the court because the court is there to adjudicate. So you're telling me I must tell you. We have to get over this nonsense. Inclusionary approach in managing the pandemic, and to let the science, law, and international best practices and appropriate resources.
All right, Mr. Lincoln Lewis there, getting some serious technical problems. Internet connection is very, very poor in his area, just like the government's performance, the installed government, the installed regime's performance is very, very, very poor. Nothing different than how they have managed the country for 23 years, massive corruption, you name it, all these things. Let me say good evening to some folks out in Trinidad, all the way in Diego Martin, probably getting their stuff done and watching the show. Mr. Solomon, the debt rate is very, very high. The regime doesn't seem to be concerned about the debt rate. They're more concerned about frivolous things, who is vaccinated and who isn't vaccinated. What do you think should be their priority in saving lives?
Yeah, let me just say I feel where Mr. Lewis is coming from first, about the general handling.
If you could just raise your volume a little bit, I would appreciate that.
Yeah,
I know you're not a loud mouth as I am, but go right ahead.
Yeah, Mark, I hope you can hear me better now.
Sure.
I'm saying I want to sympathize with where Mr. Lewis is coming from with regards to the general handling and the unilateral approach to the handling of this matter. And I think that is where the start begins. If you go right back to that and you appreciate that there must be an inclusionary approach. And people talk about precedents. And Lincoln spoke about the precedents of the United States. And even that matter and the way that the mandates were implied is being challenged in the Supreme Court. So that must be established in any society, that right exists for people to be allowed to challenge the decisions that they feel are not working in their best interest. So we must not miss that point as we look the equivalencies and we look for also the issue of ensuring that we draw precedent. So what we are seeing is that because of the handling of the pandemic at the level of the United States, even Biden is losing the sort of popularity support. You go over to Brazil, the courts in Brazil struck down the way Bolsonaro is handling the COVID situation and say that some of his mandates went against people's civil liberties. So you cannot fault the trade union in Guyana for taking a similar approach when you're speaking of precedent. Even at the level of his handling of this crisis in Brazil, Bolsonaro is losing rapid support. So if you're talking about precedent, then look at what is happening in Guyana. When you have a unilateral approach to the handling of a crisis, where two ministers in particular have injected themselves particular in this matter in a political manner, then you have to ask the question, he who feels it knows it. It is not until people start to lose their loved ones, we see the death rate climbing, then we will appreciate that this matter is being badly handled. And you go to that inception of the unilateral approach first, and then you take the scientific reasoning that allows for policies to be implied. So then you look at those health policies that are being implied. So whether it is the vaccination rollout, whether it's the employment of the COVID mandates that are not being implied in an equitable way. So some businesses are being allowed to open, some people are allowed to keep meetings, whether those things are happening. So you have the unilateral approach, you have the disjointed employment of the existing protocol, and then you have the sort of approach being adopted that are not based on science, that are not based on policies that are reflected to save lives. So that's why you have the sort of confusion even at the level of the COVID hospital. This is beyond the vaccination. And I think what the government is cleverly doing is using the vaccine as an opportunity to confuse people. People are not objecting because they're against the vaccine. You know, I wouldn't get into the science of arguing whether the vaccine people should or should not take it. The vaccines work. That is the fact. The point is, you cannot procure vaccines that are not recognized by the World Health Organization and then bring it to a point where people have to question its procurement and then question the numbers in terms of 80,000 people are still without the second dosage. That sort of handling is what is bringing people skepticism. That sort of handling is what is bringing people a point of hysteria in taking the vaccine. So you're asking what can the government do? They can change course. They can change the unilateral approach. If people who are thinking, persons who are objecting to the government are anti-vaxxers, then they can look at precedents that have been set in other parts of the world to see that some of these measures, as Lincoln mentioned, whether it is the PCR test, the Biden administration is saying that is free of cost. That is free of cost. So it's an option if people want to take the vaccine or not. There is more education on the issue of the effectiveness of the vaccine. It is not a big stick approach as you see this government is taking. So you ask Mark, what can the government do? They can change, complete the approach that they're taking general to the handling of this pandemic. And EU feels it, knows it. Not unless people close to you, as we see, God forbid, start to die, then we will take this sort of action. And it should not get to this point. And because we're at this point, people should be held responsible because people are losing their lives. And as such, those two ministers should be personally held responsible because we're in this sort of confusion and crisis because they've badly handled this issue of a general pandemic and those policies that they've been implying across the region and across the society.
Well said, Mr. Sharma Solomon, former chairman of Region Number 10. We're talking about the pandemic. We wanted to talk about other issues in terms of discrimination of the flood relief grant, massive corruption, hundreds of millions of dollars, massive, huge corruption. But let's stick with the COVID-19 pandemic because that's a hot topic. As of tonight, it's hot all week. People are dying left, right, and center. I had a quick question for Lincoln Lewis, but he got cut off. I got some voice notes from people at the ICU, the COVID-19 hospital. They're complaining bitterly. They're crying. They need help. The doctors there can't help them because they don't have any sort of thing to help them, no medication whatsoever. But I'm calling on the nurses and the doctors. I know you guys are doing a heck of a good job. But the people, some of you, some of the nurses there, I don't know, but people are complaining about their treatment. People are dying. I don't know. You guys, and tomorrow evening, I will play some of those voice notes. I will play some of those voice notes. It's heartbreaking. This guy, Maxwell Tom, died. One shot of, I assumed, I don't know, but I have to assume that this is Sputnik V. One shot. He couldn't get the second dose because it's the PPP's negligent. I've noticed, and our operator has signaled to me that we have Miss Vanessa Kissoon with us now. We'll await, here we go with Miss Vanessa Kissoon. Let us welcome her to Straight Up on 107.1 FM. Ms. Vanessa Kissoon, good evening. Glad that you're alive. Glad that you're well. Really, really nice to see you. Your take, quickly, good evening. Your take on how the installed PPP regime is handling this pandemic, this COVID-19 pandemic.
Okay, good evening, Mark. Good evening to Mr. Solomon and Mr. Lewis, and to all your viewers. From the inception, since this regime took over, installed regime, we've been saying it that the whole entire situation has been handled and managed badly. All right. You see that decisions are being made without any proper thought process. And now we're at this juncture as a teacher where the whole situation with the reopening of schools and all of that. So they have not managed because, and as Mr. Solomon had said on many shows, there's no national plan, nothing is in place to actually deal with these things. And they're just making decisions. And in my opinion, they're not consulting with the right people, the COVID task force and so on, even especially as we deal with the reopening of schools, because I think about 10 schools on when Monday when school was to reopen face to face, schools had to be shut, doors had to be shut because of persons becoming infected, whether student, teacher, or any other auxiliary staff or so on. So they've been handling and managing the situation badly, and they continue to do so.
Shame and disgrace to the Minister of Health. Sorry about that. Shame and disgrace to the Minister of Health. He has three advisors, two of whom are former Minister of Health, who destroyed the health sector. Leslie Ramsamy and Barry Ramsaram. But let's get back to Mr. Lincoln Lewis, since we still, I hope we do have him here still. Lincoln, can you hear us? Yep, we keep losing Lincoln Lewis, and I just don't like that at all. So we'll find another way to connect with Lincoln, maybe just via audio. We'll just try to get audio from Mr. Lincoln Lewis. But my concern is that people in that country have to take a PCR test or whatever, that COVID-19 test, and it costs $25,000, $20,000, $15,000. It depends on who. If it's a bottom house stuff, then you'll probably get it. Yes, Lincoln, we'll just work with you via audio. Yep, so we'll work with Lincoln Lewis via audio. Mr. Lewis, I noticed Ms. Vanessa Kissoon is shaking her head in terms of this PCR test, 25,000 and all sorts of things. Why is it that the installed regime cannot make these tests available free of cost, free for all the citizens to just walk in to a health center or a hospital and be tested for free?
As you can answer that question, Mark. What they want to do, as Mr. Javier said very earlier, that people got to die, right? Regardless of the amount of people at the time, maybe they are putting systems in place to kill people. Like they don't have to say after it that they don't want to put the system in place to have that test being conducted. And secondly, well, they want people to die, they want their friends and the private clinics and so on to make money. So you have to go there and pay for a test rather than going outside where the tax dollars will be used for providing that service to the citizens. And all these things that they're doing lead us to the conclusion that they don't care about anything. You have to go the distance to them. That's how I feel.
You know, across the U.S., I've had a couple of weeks ago.
If I could, Mark, quickly.
Sure, Mr. Solomon. Go ahead, sir.
You asked about the PCR test. I took one of those tests, and I did so in Linden. All right.
Just your volume, please. Sorry that I have to interrupt you. Your volume.
Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know if you hear me. So
yeah.
I took one of those tests in Linden, and you have the test being done in Georgetown for $8,000, and in Linden it is being done for $10,000. And when the question was asked, why is the price different? It is told because we have the monopoly on the testing. So then it becomes a price issue because of those who control it. So for those who are desperately in need of a test, that is the option they're faced with. Single sourcing to be exploited by a monopoly. That's one thing. But people many times think taking the PCR test is just because you want to prove negative. but it is also because you want to deal with contact tracing. People may want to know who they've been in contact with so that they can prove otherwise, so that they can carry on with their business and don't infect other people. So that sort of restriction, especially with regards to pricing, is affecting not only people from seeing if they're negative or not, but it's affecting the general issue of contact tracing for people to know if they should self-isolate or not. And I think that is really an issue that needs to be recognized, that not only that people have the option or little option with the vaccine, is that the difficulty with the PCR is not only because of the price, but because of the deliberateness with regards to the price.
And that is exactly what it appears to. Again, you could drive through somewhere in the US, you get a free testing. I did one couple of weeks ago. Thank God it's negative, even though I am fully vaccinated, and I'm proud to be fully vaccinated. And if somebody else doesn't want to be vaccinated, that's their prerogative, but wear a mask. Even though I'm fully vaccinated, I still wear a mask most of the times when I'm out in public. And those of you who are not fully vaccinated, please do wear a mask as well and practice social distancing. Your take on this whole charging for the PCR testing, Ms. Kissoon, 25,000, 20,000 private clinics, maybe some places 10,000, 8,000. But Mr. Solomon said something there, that 10,000 in Linden, but 8,000 in Georgetown. I assume that
yeah. And remember, this is for there are two types of testing. So the one that is that doesn't require, that requires 24 hours.
Well, which is the rapid testing, right?
Yeah, the rapid testing. It is $8,000 in Georgetown at a very popular clinic, and the said branch in Linden is charging $10,000. And I can attest to this because I am not, without identifying the establishment, as someone who suffered at the price of that establishment, it is only fitting for me to say what I suffered, so that for those who may not be able to suffer that sort of price of $10,000, imagine that. So we have we may have people who legitimately want to know if they are not infected or infected, so they can prevent the spread. But because of the price, we continue to infect and continue to spread because we cannot afford, literally, to take a PCR test or to take a test to show if we're negative or not.
And that's a very good point, because if the install regime is so concerned about people's health and not getting this COVID-19 virus or whatever, they need to take precautions other than just saying, get vaccinated, get vaccinated. That doesn't work. People need to know whether they have the virus or not. And some of them, most people cannot afford.
Mark, even with the vaccine, we're spreading the virus. That's a fact.
Yeah. Even with the vaccine,
and unvaccinated, we are spreading the virus.
Well, even with the vaccine, people are still, some people I've heard have gotten the virus, but a lot of folks in Guyana just got one shot of the Sputnik V, and the government, the install regime, has to answer to that, because only this evening I was told, well, I read somewhere that the Minister of Health has admitted that 80,000 of the second dose, the second shot of the Sputnik V, is still there. They have messed this one up big time, and they are responsible for the loss of lives. Ms. Kissoon, go ahead, please.
Yes, thank you very much. Mark, this regime is accustomed to just having their way. And so even though they're pretending as though there's an option, because their focus is on you being vaccinated, they put a system in place which put people's back against the wall. So I'm going to force you no matter what, because I have to get my way. That's how they operate. You understand? I mean, Mr. Solomon already touched on all of that. They know that teachers cannot afford to pay. And I'm going to talk a lot about teachers and single mothers and so on. Where are we going to find 25,000 every week to produce a negative PCR? They know that. They know the economics of teachers and all these other persons in society, but they just mean to have their own way. And so they and like Uncle Lincoln said, Jagdion, I know Preet also said that at President's College. People gone dead. People got dead. You understand? However, they're trying to make it seem as though, oh, we care. You need to take the vaccine. However, we're not forcing you. It is not mandatory, but you will have to do the PCR. And then I'm very concerned of why they're telling you where to go. Why is it the government cannot provide these testing for free and allow persons to go and get it, and let's go on with business? I keep saying, talk to people. You know, people have concerns, but the government just wants to have its way. And so in order to have its way, we're going to put a system in place, even though we're telling you it's not, we're not mandating you. Even though we're telling you you have a choice, we're going to put a system, and you're still limiting my choice. You're still limiting my choice because you're saying to me, I have to pay so much. However, you can't go at Mark Benschop. You can't go at Sharma Solomon Medical Center. You have to go where we send you. And then we're going to put a price on it that we know you can't afford. So you're just putting people back against the wall to just have your way and to say that, you know, you must be vaccinated. And this listen, this goes back to people trying to say things about us. You know, we're mentally retarded. We can't comprehend for ourselves and so on. I have to mention that. So you're playing with people's intelligence. You understand? And you're putting all sorts of systems in place. And imagine 8,000, 10,000, 20,000, 25,000. It's just a wicked regime,
That
man.
it is, and a lot of their people, business people, those unscrupulous folks in the private sector are making hundreds of millions of dollars. What do they think? We are hogs? Do they really think that we are hogs? Lincoln Lewis,
Mark,
come on in. Can you give us, I know there's a court matter that's going on. Yep, we're trying to, yeah, Lincoln, what is the situation with the court matter concerning this forced vaccination?
On Friday morning. Friday, they go back to court.
This coming Friday, this Friday, you guys will go back to court. I don't know, Lincoln. We're seeing.
Yeah, Friday.
We are seeing something that.
The matter continues then.
Thank you. We're seeing something that we both have experienced, and including Mr. Sharma Solomon and Miss Vanessa Kissoon, in terms of police brutality and police going after peaceful protesters and so forth and so on. Mr. Lewis, does this continuation of human rights violations by the PPP, we're seeing it again, where they're hooding the police on people. Does that make you concerned at all?
You want me to tell you, Mark, something that worries me very much. We have had approximately 5 years of the coalition government. During that period, I've heard the PPP and its cohorts shouting about respecting people's rights and freedoms and all kinds of things, and the Constitution and so forth. They only know the Constitution when they're in opposition, you know. They only know about rights and freedoms when they're in opposition. They went to the Pegasus when Mr. Granger was there. And they went inside the auditorium where Mr. Granger was speaking, and they disrupted it. The process. Ministers were going in, they were to overturn the minister car. The police didn't arrest any one of them.
You know, Lincoln, let me pause you for a quick second. Thank you for bringing that up.
Hello?
Thank you for bringing that up in terms of what Irfan Ali and those vagabonds did. Those domestic, whatever you want to call them. We know what we want to call them. Take a look at this, guys. You guys saw how they treated the police like a bunch of wild hogs, wild animals. Look how they behaved. And look what the police did. The police put their tails underneath their legs and close it up, clamp it down, right? But we're not seeing that here today with how they're treating peaceful protesters, especially from a particular ethnicity. Vanessa Kissoon, I saw you. It brings back a lot of memories. Your take on this sort of the difference in how police treat protesters?
Yes, Mark, thank you. You see, I would keep saying this installed regime, these people, they are bullies. And you know what? They've been allowed for all those years they were in office to just do as they feel. And they continue to do the things to us. And we allow these things to happen. We allow these things to happen. I remember when those children were stoned with the school bus. The police officers were abused during that time. I don't know if you can remember when they had the police running.
Wait a minute. One second. Let the listeners know. And look at what these vagabonds, these domestic terrorists, look at what they did to the police. Look at it. Take a look right now.
Hey, what's it?
Excuse the foul language, but I hear that why you call action here. Chase them, beat them, pelt them, cuss them up.
Yes.
Talk racial, all kind of thing them talk. You hear? This is why you call riot here. They love that. They enjoyed it. No one criticized that. Then we have the likes of a friend Kissoon only talking about what happened during the Henry Boys protest. He's only talking about that. But look what happened there. Look what they do with policemen. They chop up people. They do everything. And a policeman was badly injured at that time too. What are these people talking about? Vanessa?
Mark, let us not forget too that Jagger said that if they didn't go into government, there would be no peace. Granger, and then we'll have no peace. These people make open threats. They do as they feel, and we must just sit back and accept it. And this, I don't know if you guys touch on that point. They're also disrespectful, and then people are coming out in society to defend. We have to have, you understand, to defend when persons are equally disrespecting you as a minister or whosoever. You understand? But I will always say, if we continue to allow these things to go unheard, if we continue, because we're being called mentally retarded, police officers were abused, children. I remember a child got his head or her head burst and all of that. Nothing was said, nothing was done. Human rights, no rights, nobody said nothing. But now, soon as you step out there, police coming with guns, pushing down women and all these kind of things. One of these days, somebody's mother gonna rise up, somebody's son. Because we need to stop this nonsense. When they were in opposition, they were allowed to peacefully, they were allowed to protest, not even peacefully. You just show a clip. Why are we allowing this? We need to wake up as a people. Every program and every chance I get, I will tell us that. We need to wake up, and we need to be in unity. We
need to wake up very, very fast. Opposition supporters need to, they need to get this one message coming from a centralized place. They're getting different message. One here, one there, one here, one there, whatever. One day.
Coming out to defend people that disrespecting teachers and all of that.
No, they're not going to do that. They're not too concerned about that. But I'm concerned about one day we hearing boots on the ground, and what we going to do, and then next day, there's really no boots on the ground. Mr. Solomon, Boots on the ground?
Well, Mark, like I said before, the dynamics of what is happening in Guyana is multi-dimensional. I think added to COVID, you're seeing things such as whether it's increase in cost of living, the issue of discrimination with regards to the distribution of resources. Certain communities, I know in particular Linden, with regards to the treatment of employment, public servants. We see public servants in the thousands are being sent home. So we have many issues in this society. The unions, not necessarily only with the issue of COVID and the mandate, but the different unions have issues with how they're being treated and how they are being dealt with regards to the government. So all of these issues are now affecting people in different ways, and you're seeing different people responding differently to them. However, I think what we are seeing is now all of those issues are now coming together under the banner of the bad and mismanagement of COVID, because it stems from that. It stems towards whether you're a farmer up in the quarantine coast and you should have gotten your flood relief. You see that even that now brings difficulty when you're unable to produce food, and it adds to the shortage of food on the market. It stems to that. So people are now looking, if not to themselves, as collective, how do they respond to these matters? How do they object to them? How do they protest and demonstrate? And boots on the ground reflects the teachers of the union, what their position is. I wouldn't speak for the union, but what we see, or in fact what we saw over the past week, was the union recognizing that they're not satisfied with the way schools were reopened, and they took some action. They demonstrated, but notwithstanding, important to that is that we saw over the weekend the union extending also an olive branch to the government, saying how they're prepared to engage with the government. So that's one segment. What you also now have is a very wary public. So you see individuals, whether it's a Nigel London, whether it's a Odessa Primus, and others as individuals who have started to rally by their own vices, the call for people to reject some of these policies that were being implied. And then you have the opposition, and the opposition leader acting, Mr. Ford, pronounced on this matter with reference to the fact of civil liberties being affected. So I think it is only a matter of time, Mark, if this government continues, before all of those voices find confluence with each other on a common way of how they organize and mobilize. But you best believe, if not only today, teachers were in the streets in their hundreds in Linden protesting. And I'm certain tomorrow, yesterday, people were in their hundreds in the streets at the Square of the Revolution protesting. And like I said, it's only a matter of time if this government continues. I said this 4 weeks ago, that people will resist. People have started to resist. I'm saying it tonight. If they continue, they're going to put people in a point where they're going to bring those disappointments together, and they're going to take that challenge to the government.
All right, and well said, Mr. Sharma. People are indeed frustrated and beyond frustrated. But the boots on the ground, look, supporters don't like to be bluffed, man. If you folks, when I mean you folks, those folks within the coalition, the leadership bracket, some of whom are running for high office and all these different things within the party, if you guys are serious about boots on the ground, be serious about boots on the ground. It should not be boots on the ground for 1 hour or 2 hours or whatever. Get a little fan flame, and then that's the end of it. Lincoln Lewis, boots on the ground. We're not seeing much at all. Your take. Mr. Lewis.
Well, let me make this point. There are many people who want to get the want to Whereas what is going, this situation is so fluid that the natural leaders are going to take control of it. And after they have taken control of it, it will be difficult to bring about resolutions from the root. Because the people who are in the formal system, who ought to be standing up as the company, are failing to do so with some respect. I believe that we shouldn't stop anybody, any leader that they want. So this is right to top leaders. I've seen it in the past, and I'm sure it could happen now. For instance, you have Pastor London, Apostle London, who have come out. London is not a political leader, but he has been able to fit in the vacuum. And for instance, in my own case, I support every leader that comes on board. We ought not to turn our backs on them. We ought not to do anything to repel them from getting on board. Every soldier, every leader is important in this struggle because they are part of the system. Decide that, look, what we say, that is what will happen. What we give to them, that is what they will have to accept. They do not see the whole question that the constitutional requirement consistent with Article 30 matters. That people must be involved in the decision-making process in the state, wherever incidents, issues affecting well-being. They don't see that way. Mr. Ali. To recognize him, or come publicly and recognize him. If you have already, by your own act of parliament, based on the constitution, the law, have said that this man is entitled to this because of the opposition, what else do you want? It tells you that this is not arrogance, this is stupidity to the highest. And until some time that we on some time that we come to call it as it is, these guys are going to go ahead and do these things that they have been doing to people.
You know, Lincoln.
And the only reason why they're getting away with it because this society is divided and many people do not want to accept it. But it's divided politically, is divided on race, is divided by religion. And what have we done?
Something.
We have to come to terms and do something about it.
Something has got to come to terms. Something, and I agree with you 100%. We're looking at the time. My executive producer just messaged me, and we haven't even started as yet in terms of the real questions. I presume we'll get back sometime later next week with you guys again. We don't want you guys to stay until another month or 2 months and then return, but definitely we'll have you guys back next week. In your closing remarks, Miss Vanessa, we'll leave Vanessa Kissoon for last. Mr. Sharma Solomon, your closing remarks in the event we haven't covered anything that is so important you want to talk about tonight. Go right ahead, sir.
Thanks for having me again, Mark. Thanks to the viewers for entertaining us this evening and for sharing some views. I always take this time as not only as a citizen, but somebody who has been given the opportunity to give leadership, to take this time to see how we could bring some calm spirits to a very troubled society at this moment. So I hope we were able to do that, notwithstanding the concerns that we've brought to your attention. But in all, the returning to the general handling of COVID, I would like to say to the people of Guyana, we have to move beyond just our general dissatisfaction of the handling. This is a life and death situation. Those who have taken on the responsibility to deal with this matter, those who have crafted policies that have created the sort of confusion that we're seeing that is resulting in people losing their lives, the sort of burden on our healthcare system, we have to hold those people responsible, and in particular, our Minister of Health. But that just goes to the general handling of the unilateral approach to these issues. And I heard you said that we'll take the time to come back, and it goes one of the other national crises of unilateral approach, as Lincoln mentioned earlier, is you saw on Saturday, the issue of Venezuela have taken on a different dimension. And while that was being agreed on in Mexico on Saturday, a very unified position by the opposition and the government of Venezuela, on Monday, we had the president making a declaration that the leader of the opposition must recognize him first before he is given a leeway to be involved in certain matters. Now, this is an emerging, or this is a consistent national crisis that is rapidly escalating to a point where we have seen Venezuela action. Venezuela have taken military aggressive action against us in 2018. Maduro have made declarations for 2/3 of our territory. And this president is still asking for recognition domestically before we deal with this international threat. A day after that declaration on Saturday that was made, then is when we are responding as a Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Only when the president went to Essequibo Coast, then would he respond to this matter at the cabinet outreach. So that sort of handling, Mark, of these crises on crises are not holding well for public confidence. And I hope that this country recognize just the perils and danger that we're in and demonstrate, protest, object to how they're being handled, because we're all in danger before we're all consumed.
In fact, exactly, we're all in danger, and the regime doesn't understand that. They're crybabies. They're behaving like wild hogs. You know what I mean? Not H-U-G-S, but H-O-G-S. Let's go to Mr. Lincoln Lewis for your closing remarks, sir. Go ahead.
Sharma started something there. Let me tell you something. These guys, I can't understand. I as a Guyanese, I am asking myself, if the man who has sworn to uphold the law, the constitution, and all and this country and been sworn in as president, if this man understands his role. This man saying now that he's going to CARICOM. You'll be talking CARICOM, you'll talk about the UN, about Venezuela did in Mexico, what the opposition and the government is. The opposition government do what Venezuela want them to do, what the people they want them to do, what should be done. They're saying that, look here, we dealing with the border issue, it is our right to do so. It's their right to do so. While they are taking acts to unite the people in Venezuela, this man is taking action here to divide the people. He goes to CARICOM to talk with CARICOM about what? What CARICOM should tell you is to come back here and work to unite his people in the quest of defending Essequibo. We go to the United Nations for Maduro is ahead in the game. Or Ferrari, I don't know what he's thinking of. I don't even believe that he's thinking. I don't believe that he has an answer to the problem that we have. Sit down and talk with the oppositional stakeholders. Let us look at what we're going to do about the border issue, what we're going to do about the Essequibo issue. All that he's doing is dividing the people, running here, giving some money here, giving his friends and cohorts money from the consolidated funds, believing that he will satisfy them and everything will be all right. When you satisfy one area, one group, against the wishes of the other group, what are you doing? That's dividing the country. Dividing the country. What's wrong with this man? I believe that somebody got to want to talk to this guy. If he will live on this. Because I get the impression now that men who are becoming presidents don't listen to anybody. Thank you. Good night.
Lincoln Lewis there, veteran trade union, unionist, the Guyana Trades Union, General Secretary there, touched on a valid point in the end there. But this guy, Irfan Ali, all of them in his installed regime are behaving like wild hogs. Every single one of them. That is how they are behaving. Now, there's a difference in saying someone is behaving a certain way and saying someone is exactly how they're behaving like. But they're all behaving like wild hogs. Your closing remarks, Ms. Vanessa Kissoon. But before you get to your closing remarks, when you were here not so long ago, you spoke about your membership of receiving your membership card and being reinstated and so forth and so on. Give us an update, please. Your volume, please. Your mic. We're not hearing you.
Sorry, Mark. At the moment, we cannot have an update because, as you know, the leader is on leave at the moment. Both leader of the opposition, leader of the People's National Congress. I'm not sure if the General Secretary is back. I know she was out of the country, but as soon as I get that update, Mark, I sure will update you and the public on the membership. So
wait a minute. Sorry to cut you. The leader took a leave of absence. He's gone for now. There's an acting leader. That acting leader cannot act on this. Then there's an acting opposition leader who can't act on this. And then the General Secretary, the General Secretary went away also. And they have an acting General Secretary. Man, the coalition, the PNC should go to Hollywood for what is called an award, one of those, all of the actors, and they can't act on this?
Yes, Mark. As I said in the previous show with you, I think the best person, and I know we have persons there in position, but you and I know, Mark, that the best person for you to confront or even ask any update of this matter is the person that you admire the most. I go into my closing remarks, Mr. Benschop. I wanna before I and
Before
you
you get
know
into your closing remarks, you guys are throwing some serious punches at me tonight. You, Lincoln, the only person didn't throw any punch at me is Sharma Solomon. But go ahead. I like that punch. The person I admire the most. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Smart. I wanna deal with a matter before I know I was late, but
Sure.
I saw persons coming out in defense of a statement or a song, and so concerning Wild Hog and all of that. And I want to particularly call on, because I think the mayor came out in defense of the minister. But the mayor, I want to say to his worship, the mayor, he has to be an equal opportunity offender, because when the minister said that they need to see each child as having an illiterate parent, when the minister said and called teachers miscreants, which some words I have here, the meaning would be vile, despicable, dishonorable, corrupt, vicious, mean-spirited. I did not hear anyone coming out in defense of the teachers and persons where we were called uncaring and unconscionable. So when we're going to jump, Jagdio said we're mentally retarded. We can't comprehend. I didn't hear his worship, the mayor, say anything. He did not come out and defend the people that were being told that they're mentally retarded by Jagdio. So I just want us to be very careful. If we're going to do certain things, we have to be fair. And so we have to call them out as we see it, not when one side says something. And if you want respect, you earn it. And so I want to say tonight that the government or these people, what they continue to do is to practice their divide and rule tactic. And so now what they're doing, they're putting the vaccinated against the unvaccinated. They're trying to put teachers against parents, parents against teachers. And so we have to be very careful of what is happening. And we cannot allow them to come with their dirty tricks. You see, we are accustomed to the tricks, but yet still we sit back like it's a norm. There's normally said, or there's normally do that. When you respond now, you're being attacked that, we're as teachers or so on, we're not this and we're not that. When they're doing it, you need to call them out also. And we need to stop compromising. We need to stop compromising. We need to stop seeing personalities and deal with issues. It's not a my thing or your thing, is who thing. This is a Guyanese thing. This is the country thing. This is our thing. We got to all come around the table and we got to move forward. We got to stop with this thing. You imagine Irfan is saying, I want to be recognized as president. When we got a crisis, when you're playing with our future, you're playing with the future of our children. Our children are being denied their education. Our rights are being denied, our right to choose and all that. We have a crisis in this country, and you coming with your petty politics? You dealing with personality? You ain't gonna talk to Mr. I am not going to speak to Harman unless he recognizes me. Nonsense. You're the president right now. You're sitting there installed, Stalin, whatever. You have to deal with the issues. Stop playing with people's intelligence. Stop putting our lives at risk and be a man and deal with the matter. Sit at the table. We don't have time for this nonsense anymore. And we as a people need to stand in unity. Let us not allow this regime install their dirty tricks to continue, and we sit back and accept it as a norm. When they say things about us, when they disrespect us, those in the members of parliament, them get up and speak against it. Get up and talk against it. Get up and let's get in the streets. All boots must be on the ground, not just the teachers. All boots, not just one apostle. Everybody must be on the ground. The churches need to come out. We're being disrespected as a people. We're being disrespected as a nation. Our children will suffer. And if we accept this treatment now, woe be unto our children. Woe be unto the future leaders of this country. But Mark, not my children. I will teach them to stand up. And we will continue. I'm calling on my women. I'm calling on my mothers. Let us come out there. Let us get the boots on the ground. Teachers, whether you're unvaccinated or you're vaccinated, we're one in this fight. Let us not allow this wicked regime to continue their dirty trick of divide and rule. We need to stand as a people, and we need to fight, and we need to let them know that we're dissatisfied. If not, I am saying this, Mark, woe be unto our children, God forbid. I just want to say thank you very much tonight, Mr. Mark Benschop.
Before you say thank you, it is just 41 minutes after 10 o'clock. I understand how you feel. A lot of people know and they respect and they understand. I'll give you a couple of minutes more. Continue with your closing remarks. Because this regime is wicked, is vindictive, is racist, all of the stuff. And people are dying left, right, and center every single day. Continue. You get 3 or 4 more minutes. Go ahead.
And let me also say this, Mark. I want to, I won't let the opportunity pass. I see my colleague, Mr. Solomon, is smiling. But we cannot be distracted, man. That is what they're doing. They're using these things to distract us. And then the other thing is, you know what they like to do? They like to tamper with your livelihood. Oh, I continue, we're gonna cut your pay. Oh, I continue, we're gonna dismiss you. Y'all continue. And they always come in with the threats. And then covered with the threats is the lies. And we have to know, listen, we know these people. We know them 23 years. We know them. Why are we still sitting in our homes? Why are we still accepting it? When they were in opposition, when they're ready to hit the streets, they come out. You understand? But we sitting down. Oh, well, I ain't gonna sing because it's not me they're talking to. It's all of us they're speaking to. When you speak to one of us, you speak to all of us. That is how we have to see it. We have to, the message gotta go. They are disrespectful. You have to see them for who they are. They are wicked. They come to divide and rule. Because I think Mr. Solomon will be able to tell me, I think miscreant in Hindi is a noun and it means dog. I'm not sure, Mr. Solomon. I think that's it. So we have to understand the deepness of these wicked people. You're calling your teachers miscreants, and then you're telling us we're uncaring and unconscionable. We, like the nurses, were out there. I was out there during the pandemic teaching 4th grade 10 and 11, known as 4th and 5th form. We had people out there teaching. And then you did the minister, then Priya Manichan, no minister. She should resign or be fired. She and Anthony. Then she sits there to tell us about black market education. Then if we practicing black market education, that mean you aren't doing your job. That mean you aren't doing a good job. So go your way. Resign. You need to leave. Give somebody else the thing. And then you call us names, and when we come at you, you're going crying, and people coming out to say they're defending you. Listen, Mark, we have to continue the fight. We got to continue the boots on the ground. We ain't backing down. Even if they come with the barriers, bar we off, we ain't backing off. They got to understand. And I want to say to those police officers out there, remember those women out there in those streets could be a mother, could be a sister, could be a wife, could be a daughter. Be careful. Be very careful, because we are in those classrooms. We are out there as women and single mothers. We understand what the struggle is. Do not be used. Because like I think both Mr. Lewis and Mr. Salmon said it, there will come a time when leaders, and I want to say, listen, I fed up of hearing there will come a time. I want to say the time is now, people. The time is now. It's now or never. And if we don't do it now, I am saying to us, the future of this country will be unto us. So let us continue to unite. Let us put aside, let us not be like these people. We can't be dealing with personalities. I want a Mark Benschop around, or I want a Sharma. You know the people who can get the job done. Call the people at the table. Let us unite and let us carry this fight. Our children's future matter. Our lives matter. Guyana matters. We matter. It is time we unite. United we stand, divided we fall. Mark, thank you very much for the extra time. Let me say thank you also. It was a pleasure sharing the platform with Mr. Solomon and Lincoln Lewis. And I want to say it's always a pleasure, Mark, being on your program. And I like the smile. I know that is what upset them. That face there, Mark. I know it's that face that you give them. We all need to get that face, Mark. Right? And let us continue to tame any wild thing coming in our way. Hogs, cats, dog, any wild thing, we'll tame them, Mark. I thank you.
Indeed, it's the looks that gets them. It's the facial expression. They get ticklish, their bumps raised, whatever else raised. I don't know, but lots of things. Look, I appreciate this here at all. The Hindi word for dog is kota. Kota. Hey, kota. You know, kota. Katahar, chamar, tereka board. That one has a curse in it, but it's nimakaram and all these things. But kota, dog. Hey, look them kota. Hey, look them kota. You know them wild kota. Are you done, Miss Kissoon? Are you done? Because we still have 2 more minutes. Are you done?
Yeah, could you repeat what that wild kota? I gotta get that one.
Kota. It sounds like kurta. You know, kurta is the outfit that you wear, but it's not kurta, it's kuta, dog, kuta. Yeah, right? And not even tame kuta. You know them, raisita kuta, right? I want to give you another minute. We're looking at the time, but another minute. Scores of people are dying at the COVID hospital. Frank Anthony doesn't care. Talk directly to him, Ms. Kissoon.
Well, I don't even know if talking directly to him will make sense. We got to talk to the people, Mark. I can't talk to him. I have to talk to the people. And I hope that, Village Voice, and we need an update on this hospital. We need to see, we need to know what is happening. We need to see, an update on exactly what is going on. I heard you the other night. I didn't get to follow through, but I heard you. And when you were talking about, I think it's my namesake, God rest her soul, Vanessa, the nurse that died.
Vanessa Maynard. Yeah.
Vanessa Maynard. And so we have persons. We had this guy from Linden who was complaining, Kenneth, about the conditions there and so on. So we have to get information. We can't talk to Frank Anthony because he's been advised, and I keep saying it, not by the task force. He's been advised by these 2 things that used to be Minister of Health. One, he just busy interested was spying and laptop and stuff. And the other one, he was busy assaulting women and that kind of thing. That's the type of people we're dealing with. So we can't talk.
When he assaulted that woman, the journalist, my good friend, Lena Free, everybody been quiet.
Yes.
Quiet. Put them quiet. I don't know.
So we can't. I won't waste my time and energy talking to Frank. I need to tell Frank to resign. We need to start. And that's the other thing, when the tables were around, they would have called for the minister's resignation. They're always calling for people's resignation, calling for people's heads and all of that. What is happening now? We want that. We need to do that. We need to get up as a people. They need to resign. Priya, Frank, well, we don't see Berry and Harry and Sammy and Dammy and whoever else. But listen, we need to start calling for their resignation. Where are the members of parliament? We need to hear more from the opposition. They need to come out. We need to see them. We need to hear from them. Mark, your 2 minutes, I think, is up. We will continue on the next.
My head like Mr. Sharma Solomon for a quick moment. Where are they? The people are going to put boots on the ground. Left, right, left, right. They're going to put boots. They're going to be fired up. I don't know.
We must have this in all the regions. Get out into your regions. Organize your people. So we need to see them.
We do need to see them. They need to be fired up. They need to be putting boots and go on the ground indeed. Don't put boots and wear it on Facebook. You can't wear Timberlands on, sorry I said Timberlands. You can't wear boots on Facebook and walk on Facebook. Wear boots on the ground. Facebook is not the ground. Look, Vanessa, Miss Kissoon, if I had my way, I will ask Lincoln and Sharma Solomon and others to help me walk you right into Parliament and put you in one of those seats as a member of Parliament to represent the people of Guyana. I've got to go, man. Too many actors and actresses in that place. Thank you so much for your closing remarks. And I know the facial expression drives them giddy, gets some of them crazy. They run around probably their house like wild hogs.
Or kuta.
Kuta. Wild kuta.
Wild kuta.
Ms. Kissoon, thank you so much. God bless you. Mr. Sharma Solomon, thank you so much as well. And Mr. Lincoln Lewis, thank you all so much. I'm going to go eat. I'm going to go eat, and I'm going to go feed my kuta. My kuta.
Have a blessed one, Mark.
Thank you, guys. Walaikum salam, Mr. Solomon. Bye-bye, Ms. Kissoon.
Bye-bye, Mark.
Good. Goodbye, Mr. Lincoln Lewis. You see why I left her for last, right? I like this kind of show. I can go on for another 2-3 hours. You see exactly why I left her for last, right? You guys knew why. Hey, I've got to go. I'll be back tomorrow evening. I'm not sure if Ganesh Mahipal is going to be on. He's a little under the weather. Speedy recovery, Mr. Mahipal. But he should be on tomorrow. I hope he's on tomorrow. I love you guys. Boots on the ground, not boots on Facebook. Forget about those wild hogs. Forget about them. Political wild hogs getting all sensitive and crying crocodile tears when the Timberland boots is on the other side of the foot. Those Timberland boots, one of these days, those Timberland boots, they want to use those Timberland boots on those teachers, but never, never. For those Timberland boots, you know what I mean. God bless you all, and God bless our beautiful country. Prayers for those people at the COVID-19 hospital and those who are not in the COVID-19 hospital as well. Speedy recovery to all of you. And for those who have lost their loved ones, our condolences to all of you. Thank you so much. Pray for our country. Please do.
It's hard, it's hard, it's hard to be at peace with the ones who are so discard. It's hard, it's hard, it's hard. Them have a knife in your back and them smile it so broad. Help me to deal with the ones them who say them love me when them really don't. Help me to deal with the fans them kill me flesh when the crowd are shout. Jesus, help me on the battlefield. Jesus, help me on the battlefield. Help me on the battlefield. Cause the booby traps with them set is real. I never want to take your glory, Lord. Send your angel just to encamp around about me and stand guard. To envy is so easy and to love it is so hard. Let me work for your glory and not for the award. Don't make me ever get caught up in the scream and the applause and go talk about the blessing and not talk about the Lord. All these things are vanity. I need your reward. Let me be real. Don't put on no facade. Help me be deal with the ones them who said them love me when them really don't. Help me be deal with the fans them. Give me flesh when the crowd are shout. Oh, yeah. Jesus, help me on the battlefield. Jesus, help me on the battlefield. Help me on the battlefield. Oh, God, the booby traps with them set is real. Sticks and stones can break my bones and words can harm me. They can harm me. When the evil come against me, you'll protect me. You'll protect Father, me. I need the strength of your son, Jesus. Cause you know my work is not done. Lord, I need that endurance just to finish this race that I run. Help me be deal with the ones them who said them love me when them really don't. And help me be deal with the fans them. Kill me flesh when the crowd are shout. Oh, Jesus, help me on the battlefield. Jesus, help me on the battlefield. Help me on the battlefield. God, the booby traps with them set is real. You tell me if you stand firm, cause every little plan you have a confirm. I know them evil plan turn. In a darkness, me a the lantern. So help me if you deal with the ones that who said them love me when them really